this one. Which of the following will not reduce cardiac output? So let's look at the right answer. And the correct answer is the first choice. Working out for 15 minutes on the treadmill. This will not reduce cardiac output. On the other hand, it will actually increase cardiac output. So again, the reason is cardiac output is heart rate times stroke volume. So what will happen when you work out or when you exercise, your muscles are working, and when the muscles of your limbs are working, especially the lower limbs, they squeeze the veins over there, and those veins are squeezed, so they increase venous return. So when venous return increases, that means more blood goes into the atrium, so more will go into the ventricles, so end diastolic volume will increase, which means that it can increase the stroke volume. So therefore, working out or exercising helps to increase cardiac output. Why are the other choices not true? Because a person with hemopericardium means that there is blood in the pericardial cavity. So imagine if this is the heart and this is the pericardial cavity which surrounds it. If blood fills this cavity, naturally this cavity will enlarge. And what will happen? The fibrous pericardium, which encloses it on the outside up here, that is rigid. It does not allow the cavity to increase beyond a certain extent. So this will be at the extent of the heart. So this blood here will compress the heart, and therefore the heart will not be able to contract properly. If it can't contract properly, obviously it cannot maintain cardiac output, so it will reduce cardiac output. So this one will reduce cardiac output. Second one, sitting immobile for an extended period of time. Again, this has to do with venous return. So when you're sitting immobile for an extended period of time, your muscles are not working, the lower limb muscles are not working, so blood tends to pool in your limbs and the venous return is reduced. If venous return is reduced, the end diastolic volume is reduced, which means the stroke volume will be reduced, so cardiac output will reduce. In fact, this sometimes causes dizziness. So this does reduce cardiac output. And lastly, the third one, presence of a myocardial infarct. Now, if a portion of the heart muscle is damaged, which is what happens in myocardial infarction, that means the muscle will not be able to contract properly. If it can't contract properly, naturally stroke volume is reduced. If stroke volume is reduced, cardiac output automatically gets reduced. Therefore, this also reduces the cardiac output. So these three reduce cardiac output, whereas the first one, which is different from all these, exercising helps increase cardiac output. So therefore, this would be the answer to this question. And let's look at the last one, which is blood pressure will increase in all of the following situations except, and the correct answer is vasodilation. And why is that the correct answer? Because blood pressure is peripheral resistance times cardiac output. So this is blood pressure. So anything which increases either peripheral resistance or cardiac output will cause an increase in blood pressure. Now, presence of an atheromatous plaque in the aorta will increase peripheral resistance, because imagine if this is the aorta and this is the normal size and you have a plaque up here. So now the caliber, the lumen of the aorta is narrowed, which means blood will flow through and the pressure will increase because the resistance from the aorta is increased. So this will cause an increase in peripheral resistance. So this will increase, in this case, the blood pressure will increase. So blood doping. In this situation, in blood doping, what happens is usually athletes do that, but otherwise, the extra packed cell volume or extra red blood cells are pushed into the blood, which means it makes the blood more viscous. That means the blood is thicker. And it's like instead of passing water through a tube, you're passing honey through a tube. So when anything is thicker in consistency, it increases peripheral resistance. So again, blood doping increases peripheral resistance. So like the presence of atheromatous plaque, it again will increase blood pressure. So these two will increase blood pressure. Third one, injecting a patient with epinephrine. Epinephrine or adrenaline causes vasoconstriction, which means again the blood, if this is the normal size of the blood vessel now becomes vasoconstricted, it becomes narrow. Whenever it becomes narrow, peripheral resistance increases, and hence blood pressure will increase. So in all of these situations, blood pressure is going to increase. Why is vasodilation not going to increase blood pressure is if this is the normal size of a blood vessel. In vasodilation, it has dilated. So now blood will be able to flow freely. The resistance has decreased. So peripheral resistance has decreased, and as we said, blood pressure is peripheral resistance times cardiac output. If this is low, then naturally blood pressure will be low. So therefore, all these three will cause an increase, and this one will not cause an increase. So therefore, this is the correct answer to this question. So I hope after listening to all of this, you're able to think for yourself and come to the right conclusion on all the choices you will get in for the questions in your quizzes and your